Bengals tight end Erick All, well, he's going to miss the entire 2025 season. The details on his injury, why he's going to be out, and where the Bengals go from here at a position that they thought they had solved with Erick All. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien of BengalsTalk.com. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, join the 52,000 plus on YouTube that have subscribed, and also check us out wherever you get your podcast, whether that's Spotify, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Amazon. Cincinnati Bengals Talk is now on audio, and we certainly want you to support us there. Leave us a 5-star review to help Bengals fans become aware that CBT is now in audio form as well, and you can take us wherever you go. Let's get to this Erick All news, and Paul Dehner Jr. all over it. Full disclosure, my buddy Jake Lisco has been all over it and has heard about this a couple of times, mentioning it to me. And so this is something that I would say through the back channels has been known for a bit. Paul Dehner Jr. was able to put the entire story together, but Erick All is going to miss the 2025 season. And there were complications with his ACL surgery that he had at Iowa. This could be a huge possible court case. I mean, there's a lot here that could happen, but whether or not it does, we'll see. But from a football standpoint, Erick All is going to have to redo his ACL surgery, essentially. And that means that 2025 is going to be one of those seasons for him where he's recovering. The last time I saw Erick All, he was at Paycor Stadium on crutches still, and I thought it was kind of odd that he was on crutches the way he was on crutches. I was like, oh, well, maybe he hasn't had surgery yet. Well, it turns out he still needs to have that surgery. And so it's scary. It's concerning for him. And hopefully he gets back because he was such a big part of this offense, a big part of unlocking this offense. And it's because they haven't had a complete tight end. They haven't. They hadn't had someone that was as dynamic as him, that understood what to do, that was just such a hungry blocker as him, all of those things. And so he was dynamic as a pass catcher and was really growing and coming into his own there. And at the same time, blocking and willing to block. He told me early on, I think it was in August, early on in either camp or early on in the season, August or September, oh, I love blocking. I like blocking more than catching and making plays with the ball, which no one says that. And Erick All did. And so without him, that's a huge loss, especially when you look at what the Bengals have under contract at tight end right now. It's Drew Sample, Cam Grandy, and Tanner McLaughlin, who was a 6th-round pick last year. I'm going to share my thoughts on the future of the position in a second. But I want to highlight the fact that this is a big loss. Having a tight end that can do it all, pun intended, like Erick All Jr., is huge for an offense that needed to be more physical at times, that needed a player that was physical, that could also do the blocking part of it, and then also be the dynamic pass catcher. That's the thing with the Bengals. They are a pass-first team. It doesn't mean they don't need some dudes that can be physical. And that's the element here that is certainly concerning, them missing that. Up next, my thoughts on exactly where they go from here. What does it mean for the draft? What does it mean for free agency? Does it just mean they re-sign Mike Gesicki? We'll get to that coming up next. Today's video is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you get to BetUS.com today because the big game is right around the corner. And whether you got the Eagles or the Chiefs, whether you're thinking about looking at, the NBA is in full swing, maybe you're looking at the comeback player of the year. And that should obviously be Joe Burrow. We'll see if it is when it's announced at NFL Honors next week. But regardless, get in on all the fun, all the action with BetUS.com. Use code YouTube150. You'll get a 150% bonus on your first deposit up to $2,000. That's free money to use on the big game, to use on same game parlays, to use on prop bets. And there are a ton of prop bets for the big game with BetUS. They also have a full-blown casino at BetUS.com. So don't delay, don't hesitate. Check out BetUS.com. Use code YouTube150 for a 150% bonus on your first deposit. Where do the Bengals go from here? What do they do now that Erick All is going to miss the entire 2025 season? I'll be honest, tight end is a huge need. That's what it is. And there are going to be a lot of people that say, all right, just bring Mike Gesicki back. And that's fine. I like Mike a lot. He's more of a receiver than he is a do-it-all tight end. And so then you have a guy in Mike Gesicki who can be the receiver, and then you have guys in Drew Sample and Cam Grandy that can be the blocker. It can work. We saw it work. But you're still missing that piece that can do both. And looking at this tight end draft class, I think that they're going to find someone that can do both, much like Erick All. And here's why I say that. It isn't just the Erick All injury. It's because the Bengals do value tight end. They have targeted tight ends in the past, or really like tight ends in the past, and they passed on them. And I think that they would kick themselves a little bit. And so some guys that they like that they didn't end up getting because they didn't fall to them. And I'm not sure they would have taken Brock Bowers at over Amari Smims anyway, because you're talking about a star right tackle versus a star tight end. But they really, really loved Brock Bowers last year. I know that for a fact. They really, really loved Dalton Kincaid 2 years ago, and he didn't fall to them. They really, really liked Sam Laporta 2 years ago. He did fall to them. They really, really liked Tucker Kraft a couple of years ago. He did fall to them, and they took DJ Turner. So they took Myles Murphy and DJ Turner. You had your shot there at Sam Laporta, a guy you really liked, and Tucker Kraft, a guy you really liked. And so maybe this is the year where they're like, okay, last year we really liked Erick All. Because of the medicals, he fell a little bit, and we were able to get him in the 4th round. We know we can't wait that long this year. And people are going to probably be upset if they take a tight end with one of their first 3 picks. I think it's pretty likely at this point, because you look at the free agency class of tight ends, and Mike Gesicki might be the top. It's Zach Ertz, Mike Gesicki, Juwan Johnson. It's not like there are a bunch of dudes. And so it's going to be hard to retain Mike Gesicki. That's another point here, is he's arguably the best tight end in the class. I think Zach Ertz, if he stays in the league, and he's obviously getting up there in his mid-30s, I think he'll want to stay in Washington. Meanwhile, Mike Gesicki hasn't gotten the paydays that Zach Ertz has gotten. Mike Gesicki is trying to get those paydays, and this might be the perfect year to get that payday. Joe Burrow does that with all these guys, and so that doesn't mean they won't sign one. I know there are going to be some that bring up Tanner McLachlan. I just think from talking to people that he's probably a bit away, a ways away. And it's not just talking to people, it's looking at what the Bengals did or didn't do with Tanner McLachlan. So overall, I would say this. The Bengals will address tight end in the draft. Would be shocked if they did not draft the tight end in this year's draft. Given where they're at, given who they could sign or couldn't sign, all of those things, buckle up, because I do think that they're going to be very in on a tight end. Maybe as early as round 1. It could be. Maybe as early as round 1, and we could talk about specific guys. But certainly, rounds 1 through 3, I think it is in play there. People are going to hate it, but prepare yourself, because if they looked back and would have said, man, you know what we could have done? We could have used Tucker Kraft instead of DJ Turner. And I like DJ Turner, but that would have felt pretty good, right? Sam Laporta over Myles Murphy. No one would have questioned that now. And so they've been pretty good at evaluating tight ends. Like, I know who they liked and who they didn't like. Like, they weren't in on certain guys, and I'm not going to just air out. Like, for example, they passed on Darnell Washington. Okay, well, that kind of makes sense. They had Tucker Kraft ahead of Darnell Washington. Which one would you rather have? Washington's a blocker. Tucker Kraft can do it all and has been explosive for Green Bay and would have been a heck of an ad. So they've done a good job of evaluating tight ends. They've worried about the positional value. I think now that it's a need, and it very much, even if you sign Mike Gesicki as a need, I think they go that route and draft a tight end early. Is that the right move? Is that the wrong move? Would you be mad at it? I wouldn't be mad at it, but I'm also about players, not positions when it comes to the draft. If you draft the right player, the position is certainly secondary. Make sure you get to BetUS.com, our sponsor, and until next time, for Andrew Fox-Miller, I'm James Rapien. Check out Enter the Jungle, by the way, if you didn't. One-on-one with Al Golden on YouTube, on audio, wherever you get your podcasts. Please, please, please check out Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And if you subscribe, if you're one of the 52,000 plus that subscribe, still support our audio. Leave us a 5-star review, because you clearly are watching the channel. Support the audio side as well, as we try to grow that wherever you get your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Amazon are the big 3. For Andrew, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching and listening to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. What goes through your mind when you see Samaje Perine do a little shake and bake and clinch it for the Chiefs?
I'm not sore about it. First of all, good for Samaje Perine. Dude was cut. He finds himself on the Chiefs. He's on a team that very good shot of winning it all. I don't even care about the rest of it. I'm bored, James. I'm bored with it all. I don't even care.